used to ask me who wrote songs, and I didn't know. They were just songs to me. I didn't know somebody had to write them. Isn't that awful? I mean,
you kept track of them.
No, I was green as corn. She sent me to the library, and that's where I began to learn writers and what BMI was. You could sing ASCAP songs 2 days a week, on Thursday and Friday or something.
You bought them in block form instead of blankets.
2 days a week.
Yeah.
And so we'd have to be careful, don't do an ASCAP song on Monday,
But on a CBS network show, they didn't have a license for ASCAP, and I couldn't do my records.
So that's when I began to learn about all that. I didn't know a thing. I was green as corn.
Yeah. I know one thing, Jimmy Davis got credit for more songs back during that time. We didn't know who wrote them. We just put Jimmy Davis, Pure International.
Well,
is that right?
Yeah.
Joe Maphis, about Fiddletons, Joe would say, I'll put it down, Miss McLeod's reel. That's BMI, So any Fiddleton we didn't know, he'd say.
D. Ford used to do that back here at the Opry. They tell me that he'd do the same old thing, the Fox Chase, and they
put any name.
Yeah, and the judge would tell D. Ford, if you don't learn some new tunes, I'm not going to put you on. So he'd turn in something
else he didn't know.
Come on and play the same thing.
Yeah.
Your old boy can tell you some good stories.
All right.
Man, I can tell a bachelor, but I don't know whether it'd be suitable for public.
You see, keep it a little clean.
I got a good.
Yeah, thought you
did. You're going here put my.
No, we doing a show down in Alabama one time. The string beans was working. Anytime there's some woods around, old String would go out and get in them woods.
Oh yeah.
So me and Lester standing up back of the tent. There's a grassy field there in the woods over there, and String went over in the woods and Lester. I'm sure the same has happened to you fella. One fella come dashing up to us and said, how do you go about getting on that dang Grand Ole Opry? I'm a music maker too. Lester looked, trying to figure out something to say. He looked like the String was coming out of the wood. He said, well, see that man over yonder? He said, yeah. So well, he runs that Grand Ole Opry. You go talk to him, and whatever he says is it. So the man cut out across the field, and we was watching, of course. And String pretty tall. This guy was short. He's right up this place like that. So, and String listened to him a while, and then he raised up and looked. He knew right off the bat what was going on. Looked over there. I jumped back Lester jumped back behind the tent and just left me to stand there. And they come on over, that guy right up in his face, just blah, 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 blah. So, String walked by me and said, what you sitting there down crazy fella? I said, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. He said, yes, it was. It was you too. I looked over here and I said, later on that day, I said, String, what'd you tell the man? He said, I told him to come on up our Saturday night and I'd put him on, so that's the only way I'd get rid of him. Saturday night come when we pulled in the parking lot, I saw that rascal.
He was still there?
Yeah, he come up there. All right. String seen him too. He said, let me get in the house. I know. But he'd come all the way up, I think. He'd get on the house. Yeah, the String, what'd you tell me? I told him to come on up. The only way I get rid of him. Where's your buddy Josh?
He's home. He's kind of on the puny list.
Is he?
I heard he was in the hospital there.
Oh, he was, man.
What's his trouble?
He's pneumonia got him last round.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's something, huh?
Yeah, he let it ride too far.
I had a dose of that back a few months ago, about a year ago. Pneumonia is something else.
Oh, yeah. I believe he stayed in the hospital 14 days.
Dang,
How
that's a
old
long
is
time.
71? Yeah, a year older than Josh is. Bad as I hate to say it.
You boys just sprang chickens. I'm 77.
Well, I knew you was quite a bit older than me.
You're oldest child. I'm 87.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a child now.
Now, I remember you so well. You and Acuff, we all worked the stage together. You all had that Prince Albert show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I always look forward to hearing you do your laugh thing.
Yeah.
That was always a treat.
There's a fella up home. He weighed about 98 pounds. His wife weighed 400 pounds. And he laughed like that, and I got to walking him. And Roy said, well, if that makes the people laugh, make me laugh, it only makes the people laugh. So we tried on the stage. That's how come we start laughing.
Well, it sure worked, 'cause I think
Oh, yeah.
people look forward to that thing.
It's good to see you.
Likewise.
Good to see you. Yes, what happens when you get old?
I thought you turned that for a weapon.
Well, it is. It's the fundamentals.
Hey, fella.
Hey, how you today?
Doing pretty good, huh?
That's good.
Sure enjoyed you yesterday.
Thank you.
Real
Well, I
good.
enjoyed everything yesterday.
Oh, I thought it was great.
Hi, Charlie.
And
You better put that stick away, Jesse McReynolds will be on you, Jim. Jim said, not Jesse, Jim said yes, he said, I expect to come over and see a whole bunch of wheelchairs.
That's what
I
he
left
said.
mine home, he said.
Well, the way I
Janet
see
Carter
it-
was close to stealing the show yesterday when she sung the Weeping Willow, though.
Oh, yeah.
It brought back memories.
You know, you don't grow old because you play music. You
Well,
grow old
well,
if you don't play music.
From
That's
here
it.
up, you never grow old. And it might extend down to here because of the music.
Another thing, if you wear a red cap, you won't grow old either. You
Well,
knew that,
yeah,
didn't
you
you?
know.
What you fellows are talking about?
We're talking about
We're
that.
talk- Did you see that other business out here?
Oh, I see
The
that
other
other business
business is
standing
here.
right there. Yeah. Oh, and he went right on in there and he
After
quit
Bill
me.
and
Oh,
him broke up, he never would call his name.
no,
Bill.
sir.
Okay.
Oh, Kenny Baker called him that other
He
business.
said that other business, he was nothing.
Yeah, that's all he called
He's
it.
just a simple drunk, that's all he is. He said other business.
That other business. Oh, he asked me one time, he said, well, have you heard from that other business? And I said, who are you talking about, Monroe? He said, oh, that fiddler, that other business there. You heard?
He would not speak his name, but you know, I think
Never
they
did hear
made
him
up
say
in
it.
Chillicothe.
Yeah, they did. Oh, yeah. Oh,
Who was that
yeah.
he was talking about?
Bill and Kenny Baker.
Oh,
But Carlton
Bill
and,
wouldn't.
They did make
yeah,
up.
Carlton and Bill hadn't spoken, what, 25 years?
So and Jimmy
Do
Martin
you
the same
know?
way, too.
Do you know when Bill was up in the nursing
Opry,
home?
backstage in the Opry. Bill walked up to Jimmy and just stuck his hand out like that. Been 15,
Bill
20
knew
years.
it was getting close.
Yeah, he did.
Did you know
He made
that
amends.
when Bill was in the nursing home and he asked to see Donna, and he couldn't talk, but Donna went up to the nursing home and then she said she walked in and he was there and he had a quilt on him that the fans had made him, you know, and said in the corner sat this banged up old mandolin. It wasn't his, but he kept one there just in case, you know. And said Donna went over and she picked it up and tuned it. He started playing some of his songs and tears went out his eyes. He liked her for coming.
I was at the session when Rose Maddox
Oh, yeah.
came to town.
Uh-huh.
She's gonna cut one of Bill's songs.
Yeah,
They got in the
He
session.
played on it, didn't he?
He was going to.
he did some of
But he
it.
went there and she's gonna sing his song. And when she named the key, he said, that's not the key for that song. I do that in such and such. And she said, well, I can't sing it where you sing it. I have to have it in this key. He said, well, I just don't pick it there. And so they called her sister in.
Donna finished this album for him.
He wouldn't play it in
You know,
no other key other than
A
one
lot
he
of
practiced.
people, you know,
You know, the first time I met Bill, I was doing a show. I run down real, just got there in time to get on the stage in Warrington, Virginia. I didn't know who was on the thing. And I got up, the first thing I cut down on was Blue Moon in Kentucky. I would have never done it if I'd have known.
My brother,
Morning, Patsy. How you doing?
my brother was a very plain-spoken guy, more so than me. We went to Sunset Park in Pennsylvania.
Excuse me.
And right before we went on, they had a Pennsylvania act, had an accordion, and they sang 4 or 5 Louvin songs. They sung all of our hits. And then the guy introduced us, and I just walked up to the mic and said, "Now we're going to show you how they're supposed to sound."
Well, you know what Bill said to me? I didn't know he was there. And I wouldn't have known him anyway because I'd never met him. And just as I finished my show, I got a good hand, I have to admit, because they loved them songs. Not because I was doing them, but I walked out, turned around, walked through the stage door, and there stood Bill with his mandolin giving it this. And he said, "Well, what did you leave for me to do?" Well, that kind of, I looked up at him, I said, "Oh my God." I looked at him and I said, "Well, have you thought about Bill Bailey?"
This, as far as I'm concerned, is way too television.
Morning, everybody.
I agree.
Just get it.
I agree.
No rehearsing and going back and forth and all that
Because it's
stuff.
natural, see.
This is the
You
way.
make a mistake, admit it, Jeff.
That's part of it.
You like new potatoes? You better taste one before you say really. Just taste a little one, you'll see what I mean. Just taste one.
Potatoes? Uh-oh, is that Mr. Yaki over there? What are you doing?
You guys, did you come to do some television?
Dang right I did. Good to see you, Jim. What you know good? You boys
should have been here yesterday.
Well, I should have been. I bet it was good. I bet it was good. Oh, you bet. I just run into Carlton over the street. In fact, he ran into a lady at McDonald's. He's waiting on the cops.
Really?
Yeah.
Could have her a nicer guy.
Well, he's taking it good. He's not hurt. So I stopped by and said,
him yesterday. He was here.
"Oh yeah, he runs just square into a lady over there as you ever seen at McDonald's." And I said, "Carlton, are you hurt?" And he said, "No." He said, "Well, she wants to file a report." I said, "Well, okay. If you need me, I'm right up here." Yes, she wants to file a report.
I just wanted to show you my harp. I just love it. I never had a good one until I.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all know it or not, but that's a Pop Stoneman commemorative harp, built especially for my father. Designed and built especially for my father. See? It's even signed, but you wore it and wearing them all.
Oh yeah.
That's me.
Thank you. But I don't have the little deal in mine like you do.
Yeah, you do.
Yes, I do. I'm sorry, I do. I have.
You have the.
Yeah, the record label. Yeah.
You have the record label from the first recording.
I never even paid any attention to the inside. I stuck my hand.
Well, you should look down in.
That's the way Pop used to play one, wasn't it?
The other way.
Like this.
See, mine is designed where I can play below it. Yours is not.
You remember Mr. Andy Bowman?
No, I don't. But you see where this thing here? You know what that is, don't you?
No, ma'am.
In 1920, Daddy built a part to our home in Galax, Virginia, and this is a board off of that house.
Well, I declare. You know these picks has got holes in them, and on my old harps that I used to play, I put that little deal on there, and George liked it so good. I think he started putting on all of them. Cause see, it'll pull your picks off. You see what I'm talking about? You see that? that hole will go right in that. If you don't put that on there, you'll be playing in that hole will go right into that peg.
I don't use metal picks. I use plastic, and I spray my fingers with the hairspray to keep the picks off.
To keep them on.
You spray the picks, fill your fingers with hairspray, and your picks will stay on.
Make them sticky. I enjoy talking to you. You're one of my favorite friends. And Ronnie.
She's a nut.
She's a nut.
We gotta have one in every family.
Hey, she was at our festival. She was at our festival about 3 years ago. And we got out on the stage together. And she stayed over the next night. She told the promoter, "This is not gonna cost you anything. I just want to stay." And the next night, we did a rap of the old Mountain Dew. Oh, they called it that good old Mountain Dew.
Don't do that for me.
And you can imagine me and her us doing it together.
Remember at Long's Park what you all did to us? We were up on the stage and you jumped up and you and Ronnie just tore the house down. And the stage too.
I was in Nashville one day. Nobody don't know about this. I was in Nashville one day, and we were just driving down the street, and I saw Ronnie standing out waiting on a cab. So I parked the bus and run up there, and I said, "You go in my way." And when the cab came, she said, "Go ahead on." She got in there with me. She's a fine friend.
She's in Mission, Texas now playing. Yep. She'll be back soon though, I guess, because she'll be back working at the nightlife.
Well, I just want to show you my harp. I showed it to Jeanette, and I wanted to show it to you.
I don't know if you know it or not, but Jeanette, the Carters, the Stoneman's are known for harp players.
Oh yeah.
Except for me. But you outshine us.
Oh, it's a new game for me. I've been playing one since about 1968.
Have you seen mine? You have?
No, ma'am, I hadn't.
See, mine's different than yours. See, mine you can play above or below. I use the same.
Oh, I see. You got this raised up.
No, it's got fewer chords. It's no more than Daddy used.
Uh-huh.
And he played down here.
Oh, I see.
And it's rigged that way so it could be done.
I like the way that sounds. Yours is just still new. I sing and play so much and I sweat so much that the only way I can clean mine.
Well, mine is not new. I just haven't been able to play much.
Well, the only way I can clean mine is I just take a big old long knife and put a real thin cloth on it and spray some some furniture polish in there, and that's the only way I can clean it. When it really has to be clean, he has to go back to old George.
My mother was Sarah Doherty, and Maybelle was Maybelle Addington, and they married into the Carters. Maybelle married Esri, and Sarah married AP. And then they formed that trio, you know. Well, Mommy could make music, and Maybelle could make music, and Daddy, he knowed none of them knowed music only by ear, but Daddy knowed he went to singing schools where they taught the notes in the songbook. He did learn all that. And he was more the one that arranged the songs, collected the songs, he wrote songs, but they all three got together to work it all out, you know. And they worked. I heard someone talking yesterday about Roy Acuff or who it was, that when he went to make a record, they never made it but one time. They went over it but one time. Well, you know, anymore, if anybody makes an album, they may take a week to get through it, to get it all made. But I've heard them say that my mother and Daddy Maybelle, one time was all they done that song when they went to record. They had it down exactly like they wanted it. And my mother wouldn't sing unless her voice was pitched right. She wasn't able to sing high. She wasn't able to sing too low. And they all had to get in a pitch that they could all three sing, you know. He sung bass, Maybelle sung alto, and my mother led singing. And they all worked together to form that trio. And like I said, they didn't realize what they'd done. They was just trying to make a better living than living on a farm and the hard life that all these people have. And someone is talking to me about songwriting. I said some of the best songwriters, if they never have no trials and troubles, they write songs. And them that's never had none or well off and everything, they don't write beautiful songs like the ones are telling about all their troubles and all their sorrows and the hymns that are wrote is the faith of people that believe in God, and they put it down in words. That's the way I think. Now, I write a little bit, but not to never be the songwriter my daddy was, or them. I don't try to be, but my brother, Joe, is a beautiful songwriter, but he'd write a song, lay it aside, and he don't pay no attention to it anymore. But he's a good songwriter. Well, the world's full of them. A lot of the musicians are never discovered. I mean, you know, they're still out there trying to find a place. And I hope they do, because all this music, all of it. I mean, you know, there's a place for the blues, there's a place for the Nashville music, and they've all got a place. And I pray there'll always be a Nashville, there'll always be Hilton's, Virginia, Poor Valley. And Bristol, that's where, you know, they made their first records. And it was recently declared birthplace of country music, you know, they finally got that passed. But music is, it's wonderful to have music because that brings a lot of happiness. People talk to me about the Fold, that's what I direct and run the Carter Fold. Me and my brother, and my sister's dead. But I feel like I'm trying to preserve and keep alive the music, their music. And I said it'd be a disgrace for me to have any other kind of music but the kind my mother and Daddy Maybelle done. And like I say, it's got its place. And I hope it'll always be there. Of course, I don't know when I'm gone, but my children says they'll take care. They won't be me, and no more than I could be my daddy, but I can try by carrying it on. That's what I'm trying to do. And I guess I'm doing all right. It'll soon be 25 years now. I guess I'm doing all right.
Well, you know, the only reason I tune them like this right now is to make sure it's the same as everybody else out there. But Martha uses a tuner every time. I have a natural pitch, but it has to be coming from, like putting on new strings and tune right up to put E, you know, and all the, but if I've already heard some playing in the wrong key, it throws my natural pitch out a little bit, so. These things are really nice to have. But this is Mac Wiseman, the guitar here. Oh, Lord. I'm just trying to get a tuning on it. I've been tuning his guitar since 1955. When he don't want to tune them, and I'm around, he said, Eddie, would you tune it for me? I love every bone in his old body, so of course I will.
I remember hearing Hank Williams.
Oh, yeah,
on the
sure.
Opry. And
oh, yes.
When Johnny and Jack was hot, man, that Opry would roar.
That's right.
And I can, in my mind, I was there.
Oh, yeah.
I was right on the
That's
front
right.
row.
You just imagine, visualize.
Well, radio is theater of the mind.
Sure it is.
Yeah.
That was the whole concept about Radio Jim's thing, was trying to recapture
right, recreate it, yeah.
Is it somebody else's hand?
But the mystique that engulfs all that is phenomenal. especially when you're listening on the radio.
Yeah.
Because I was listening on the radio back in Maryland. I was 650 miles away.
Right.
And it's still there, even today. You know, when you're listening far away at night, it's still
Oh,
there.
I tell you, I listen to you if I'm out at late, pull you in. I listen to you a lot.
Really? I appreciate that.
He's now, I call him the voice of WSL.
He's Mr. Encyclopedia.
Yeah, and the voice. 'Cause when you hear him
I
talk,
said, what year was that, Eddie? He said 1940.
real quick, he didn't
I was
let
surprised he didn't tell me the hour.
You're kind.
Oh, no.
But it's great though because you've dove into that in depth since you're here doing the job you're doing. It's good to have the knowledge and know it. Unless you've played the music before, so you know all about the history of it.
I appreciate
And you
it.
studied it, and that's where it is. That's what makes it.
Sign the posters in there.
You know,
No, yeah, you got to tell
I'm
him
going to ask you a trivia question right quick. The reason I'm going to ask you because you helped do the liner notes and you didn't know the answer, so I'm going to see if you found out. Who sang bass on the Midnight Rambler Jimmy Martin recording? It wasn't listed on the Bear thing, the Bear thing. Timmy Martin, Jimmy Martin Jr. So that was there.
Some of those records that Jimmy put out in those days said featuring Jimmy Martin Jr. singing bass. I've got a couple 45s at
That was
home.
him.
Yeah, he was on that one too. Yeah.
Played bass too.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, because I was on that session.
Mm-hmm. What was that, about 70, 71, long in there?
1970. I was back with Crow by then, but I went back. We did a lot of recording after.
Yeah, that's right.
Went back to Crow. Because I left here around New Year, first of January of 70.
Yeah.
I came back to Kentucky. I went back to Kentucky. But I came back and recorded a bunch of stuff when he was still with what was Decca then.
Yeah.
And then later on the MCA, I did some stuff. I Cried Again. Baker was on it, playing Frank. I was on that
Morning,
session.
sir.
Me and Walter Haynes had to run in.
Oh, yeah.
Walter, that's right after Harry.
How you doing?
All right.
Yeah, that was a good
Walter
guy.
was, he was an army man, and he was trying to, help Jimmy, but he didn't realize Jimmy had set way that he liked things done. I was following Jimmy's orders, and Walter had a little different opinion about it, but we got it all straightened out.
Walter was a steel player too, wasn't
Good steel.
he? Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought.
He was the first pedal player that Jimmy Dickens had. He was on a lot of great things that Dickens did,
Is
like
that right?
We Could and Take Me
yeah.
as Amber
Really?
Let I Go.
Yeah.
Let Me Go. He was on that.
Well, he and his brother played some bluegrass when they lived up. They're from around Kingsport, Church Hill, or somewhere.
Yeah.
He was in one of the first bands that Dickens had too,
Yeah.
playing a non-pedal guitar.
Yeah.
But then he played pedal. He was one of the early pedal steel players in this town, as a matter of fact.
Well, it's a lot of pressure when they put you in a spot like that. And Harry was such a legend
Yeah.
at Decca.
Oh, yeah.
He had
See,
such
I
a
did.
good rapport with the acoustic artists, too.
Him and Owen,
Yeah.
two of the best, easiest guys to work with.
Owen was,
That I have never been around anybody any more professional and complimentary. They recognized when you walked in and you had your material together, and they knew that it was
well,
gonna
you'd
go
think,
down. I mean,
you'd
they
think
was-
Owen didn't hear a thing that you did, but he'd sit there with a newspaper, but he heard everything.
He heard everything.
You'd think he was reading the paper or whatever.
He
But
right.
he heard it all.
He had a
heard it
great
all.
set of ears.
Oh yeah. Just little things he would say would make it all just right.
I talked to Owen once about some of the stuff Jimmy did, you know.
Yeah.
He just kind of smiled.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
And he really loved the one, dog bites your hide.
Oh, yeah.
He loved the line in there. He says, I often wondered about that line in there, going to tear your ash hopper down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Took me a while to figure out what that was, you know.
Yeah.
But,
But he talked about that. One time I was asking Owen Bradley, I wanted to have him come out and be on my show one night and wanted to do a whole show with people that talk about people he had produced.
Right.
But not talk about so much the people that he always talked about, the Patsy Clines and the Ernest
Yeah,
Tubbs
right.
and the Kitty
Right,
Wells,
right.
you know, because their stories, while they were certainly valid, he told them a lot.
right.
You know, and I told him, I said, you know, one guy I'd like to talk to you about is Johnny Paycheck. First records he ever made, he was like 20 years old under the name of Donnie Young.
Donnie Young.
And I told him, I said, Mr. Bradley, I said, that was some high-octane country music. And he looked at me real solemnly and says, Donnie Young was high-octane.
Yeah. Classic line.
I'll never forget that, you know. But unfortunately, he didn't live long enough for us to do that interview. But boy, what a kind man. What a kind man.
You talk about history. Like I said, if you could sit him down at the table and just talk hours, make notes, and he could tell you some stuff.
There's a guy right there that saw it all. You know, you was talking about, somebody was talking about Grant Turner. We were talking about Grant Turner yesterday. You know, there'll never be anybody like Grant Turner again. Grant Turner worked with Jimmy Rogers in radio in Texas. And he worked with everybody from Jimmy Rogers to Garth Brooks. That's right. That'll never happen again.
And he was always the same with everybody.
And he never forgot you. If he ever met you,
No.
He never did.
he would call your name.
It was amazing. It might be a year, but in between times I'd see Grant, and he'd always call me by name, come over and shake my hand.
And have time to talk to you.
I can't do that. I
Oh,
can't remember people like that. I wish I could.
Not unless I'm around quite a bit.
We have people come to our show, and they may come 2 weeks in a row, and I can't remember if they were there last week.
I know that feeling.
It's terrible.
You see so many people.
Well, you do. You know, our music still is the people's music.
Sure it is.
We have the luxury of being able to go out and shake and howdy and talk with them and sign autographs. It's a more personal.
It is.
That's a pretty good tune, you know?
Yeah.
Go ahead and play it. It's pretty. I like it. You never hear nobody play it.
No,
That's
no.
the reason, that's one reason why I recorded it.
Yeah. You just redone it?
Yeah.
Good.
Yes, we did about, let's see, I got 5 releases out. I think it was only about the 3rd one. I had one released 2 months ago, Tribute to Bill. Have you heard it?
No.
That's good. That's good stuff. Before he died, I did a show in Hickory with him. He asked me to, he knew I was fixing to do a session. He asked me to name number 4 or 5 he wanted me to do. Cheyenne and Rawhide and Girl in the Blue Velvet Band.
Yeah, yeah.
And I did all them, tribute
Wow,
to him.
that's good.
And got a good cut on it. If I had your address, I'd send you one of them.
I'll give it to you. I'll write it down for you.
Be sure that before you leave.
I sure will, Jim. I'll write it down for you. Had a string on mine that was low. I had raised that string.
Here's the part that goes in. I didn't put it in the record because it's pretty good. It takes that much to do it. I was afraid I'd miss it.
Man,
So I didn't try.
what a span you got there.
I didn't try that on the record. I didn't try it on the record. I was afraid I'd miss it.
That's hard to reach on a man.
Yeah, it is.
That's a what a span you got there. It's
You
at
start right
it's
there.
fresh water.
Yeah,
fresh
it'd be harder on the mantle, I'm sure.
That part down here is not too hard. But that the frets is wider on this.
You just about have to do it with them 2 fingers. That's right. Jumps from back over to, yeah, that's pretty. That's it. All right. I knew if anybody could do it, you could. A whole lot like Patty on a turnpike, you know. Just
Yeah, it is.
straight
Uh-huh. You hear a little bit of Dusty Miller in there too.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
a little.
yeah. Let's see, me and Bill used to play Dusty Miller. Dusty Miller goes. Bill had something he'd put in. He'd always put that in. I always left that out, but that's part of it, I guess. That's right, that's where it goes. That's good. I like that, brother. You're a genius on that.
Sound about right.
on the, what you call it?
Yeah, and digging this?
That's tuned to D?
Yeah, it's just tuned to D. It's a daddy's harp.
Well, you know what? I don't know if I might have my capo in my pocket. Yeah, I do.
To me, he's just one of the greatest fiddlers that ever pulled a bow.
Who?
Arthur Smith.
Yeah, oh, Arthur.
I don't. That old tunes like Why Should I Wonder, House of David Reed.
Oh, yeah.
Never heard nobody play them those days like he did. I guess that's the reason that I learned to play the fiddlers. Just I have bought every record I could find of his.
Well, he influenced a lot of players.
Oh
Arthur
no,
did.
that House of David Blues was my
Yeah.
favorite. They kicked it up.
Yeah, they did.
But nothing compared to the way Smith did.
No, you know, Walter, I'm a Christian now. And I said, well, Wade, I am too. But I can sing Dust on the Bible and be a Christian. He said, I hadn't thought about that. So he got up and sung Maple on the Hill, number 2.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And that was really something, him and Julie, you know. Yeah.
He's got a memory, Walter, that amazes me still.
Yeah.
Mike Seeger and I were doing a festival up in Pennsylvania or in Delaware, New Jersey, somewhere up there. And Wade was on the festival, and Mike and I were going to sing Intoxicated Rat. Or maybe we did.
Dorsey Dixon.
And
Dorsey Dixon.
Yeah, and Wade apparently had a hand in it, and I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And he said, you recorded that song, didn't you? And I said, no, Wade, I've sung it off and on over the years. I had it in my first songbook, but I never recorded it. And Mike and I went to lunch, and I got thinking, I said, you know, I did record that song. I recorded it in England for Pie Records. I just remembered now. And Wade remembered that in his head, you know. I thought, my gosh, how did he remember that, you know? It wasn't even
him and
American
Dixon brothers
recording.
used to work together.
Yeah. I was telling a story about Dorsey. I don't think you heard that yesterday. I said, you know, you look back on it now, and he said it's kind of hard to think that people thought that way. But at some point, I asked Dorsey Dixon why he and Howard didn't continue to make phonograph records. I said, why didn't you keep on making records? He said, well, now, Bill, he said, I know it sounds funny in 1963 when we were having this conversation to say this, but he said, Howard and I talked about it, and we reckoned that phonograph records weren't going to catch on.
Well,
you know, it's hard to think anybody thought that way.
Well, you know,
but,
he also wrote Wreck on the Highway.
Yeah, and thanks
which was
to Roy
called
Acuff.
Crash on the Highway.
Yeah.
And that had Roy Acuff's name on it for a while, you know.
And Roy did pay him royalties on it.
Yeah, I know he did. I was down there when, who was it that put out that? They put that out, and they put one on the back of it. It was $5 on Saturday night or something, and that made a hit.
Yeah.
That made a hit. And so he dug up his record and took it to a lawyer and asked him, if, you know, if that would help. He said, man, if you made that back in 1937,
yeah, about that.
He said, I can get you some money out of it. Fred Rose didn't call him or write him. He flew down there.
Yeah.
Because he had to get that monkey off his back.
Yeah. But they did do the right thing. And,
oh, yeah, I
Dorsey
know.
got his
He
money.
told me he drew good checks on that.
Yeah, he said he bought his first typewriter.
Hey, I
with
helped
that.
officiate his funeral. They flew me over to Rockingham, North Carolina. That was his request.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I had him on a lot of my singers. Man, you remember Ray Perkins? Did you ever meet him? Reuben Ray? Did you ever know
I never met
them?
him, either one, no.
Well, me and him was working in Florida a lot, and we had Dorsey Dixon out there. Yeah.
Dorsey was a very interesting man, and a lot of people didn't know he wrote Cotton Mill Colic, he wrote the Weave Room Blues, and a lot of the folk singers like Pete Seeger were singing Weave Room Blues when I brought Dorsey up to the Newport Folk Festival in 1963.
Two Little Blossoms?
Yeah.
Two Little Something?
But no, Two Little, which was it? Two Little Boys? No, which one was it?
Rosebud. Two Little
Rosebuds.
Rosebuds, yeah.
But he wrote so many songs, and he never copyrighted any of them, never paid any attention to it, like Buddy Starcher. But Buddy never cared about any copyrights on it. And, I introduced Dorsey Dixon to Pete Seeger for the first time in Newport Folk Festival in '63, and I said, this is the man that wrote Weave Room Blues. Didn't have any idea.
I know.
Never knew where the song came from. He was so excited to finally know,
Intoxicated Rat.
Intoxicated Rat, yeah. And all those good songs. But so many of those people like Buddy Starcher talking about, do you remember Bill Cox?
Oh, yeah, I knew
Charleston?
Bill.
You did?
Oh, yeah. Dixie Songbird.
Well,
Yeah.
at some point, I put a songbook out, and I put Those Brown Eyes in my songbook, and I put as sung by Bill Clifton because I didn't know who'd written it, and I just learned it somewhere along the line and never knew who'd written it, And I was talking to Buddy back in early '70s, might have been 19, I don't know, might have been '75, might have been the middle '70s. And I said, Buddy, I said, you know the song Those Brown Eyes? And he said, well, yeah. He said, that's the first song I ever sang on WFBR radio in Baltimore, Maryland in 1924. And I said, well, who wrote that? He said, well, that's one of my songs. And I thought, of course it is. I mean, if I thought about it, it's something that Buddy would write. But I said, well, now, who has the copyright on that? He said, well, Bill Cox was going up to New York to record for Columbia, I believe it was, and he said he was needing some songs. He said, can I take that song of yours, Those Brown Eyes? And I said, well, sure, you go ahead and take it. So Buddy never got a copyright on her, never had any
Well, did Buddy write Midnight Special, or did A.P. Carter have his name on that? Let the Midnight Special shine a light on me.
Oh, no, AP didn't have his name on that. And
Well,
I don't think
Buddy sung
did
it all
either.
the time. I didn't know if he wrote that or not.
No, I don't know about that, but I thought it was written by Leadbelly. I
Well, it
was,
could have been.
I thought it was a Leadbelly song. But all those old songs like that, people just didn't pay attention to them. And Buddy, I got a song from Buddy as recently as about 5 years ago. I recorded "May an Angel Sleep on Your Pillow Tonight," and Buddy wrote that many years ago, but nobody had ever sung it. He hadn't either. He never recorded anything. And so I recorded it. I asked him, I said, can I record that? And he said, well, sure, you go right ahead. And I said, well, how do you want to do that? And he said, well, you just have it.
Well.
And I said, well, your name's going on it, so I hope you're going to tell BMI that it's recorded now,
When he put out that History Repeats Itself, makes such a big hit, he told me that they talked him into moving to Nashville. Man, you got it made in Nashville now. And he said he moved here and he never made less in his life than he did in Nashville.
It killed him. It killed him because he didn't realize people were not going to treat him right. He always believes people are going to be honest and good and do the right thing.
Man, I can hear him hit that Martin guitar now and come on, how you do, everybody, how you,
Yeah.
Great. Buddy Starcher.
What are we going to do? There's a vacuum suit on. It's rusty.
a nickel's worth more.
No, Kay.
Just about a nickel's worth.
A nickel's worth.
She's been my friend forever.
Years.
Forever. Years and years and years.
Yeah.
Forever. And I'm going to go take.
You're going to come and visit me.
You can visit her this summer. Just not to play the fiddle, just come and run around with us.
Yeah.
So what stories can you tell? Hang out together.
Well, we don't know too much about
No, I played her place one time when there was an awful snow, like 3 or 4 feet deep. We couldn't get up to her house from the barn. We had to hang on to the fence to go up the hill. I remember that. I remember a lot of good things over there.
She stayed all night with me, some.
Lots of
Her
times.
grandpa.
Yeah, and it was really, really cold.
Oh, yeah.
Like below zero. But we stayed warm, and she cooked for us and all that. But our stories are not too funny. We haven't done any real interesting things together, have we?
Tearjerker break me up again like she did yesterday. They sung a song of my sister used to read to get out, and I remember one time the cows tore the fence down way down the low end of the pasture.
Yeah.
And Dad sent me and one of my older sisters went with me down there to check to see. And there's some cinnamon trees out there, and she was climbing up in those trees, singing that song that you sung. And that just tore me up yesterday. Because she's been dead for a good while. She is a favorite sister of mine. But you don't know what influence you have on people. And whatever you do, you keep on doing just what you do.
Well, I'm trying.
God has been good to you. You're a wonderful person.
Okay, thank you.
Boy, you sound so good out there. I'll tell you what. Do the best I can with what little I got.
Well, I do too. That's all we can do, ain't it? Most of these people here, a lot of these musicians, I know them. I've booked them up at the store, a lot of them. And what I have not had, I'm learning to meet some others, you know. I'm always a listening and a looking.
Yesterday was kind of a feeling out to find out exactly what everybody wanted. I think today is a little more loose. I still think that there are people here that's got a lot to say that's not saying it, and I don't know why that is. I've tried to talk, maybe I've talked too much, and some of us have talked more than others, but some people just are not going to talk. But this concept is wonderful. I'd like to see a bluegrass, I'd like to be the headline of a bluegrass show done in this format. I would love to. And you could put the act in the middle and then put your audience around you. Or either this is a great concept though. Whoever did this knew what they were doing. I love it. And Mac, you couldn't have gotten a better person than Mac Wiseman. Mac's always been my hero because he's smart, and he's intelligent, and he's educated, and that's something a lot of us don't have, you know. A lot of us older people don't have anyway. It's history. I look at Jim Shumate. Jim Shumate was on the first Flat and Scruggs records when they first started in 1948 on their own. Jim Shumate played the fiddle on them. Jim Shumate got Earl the job with Bill Monroe in 1945. So and then you look at Mac. Mac sang on Lester and Earl's first records, and Mac also sang on Bill Monroe's stuff on Columbia in 1948, early '49. And you look at Melvin Goins. They've been here forever. The Goins brothers, Walter Bales, the Bales brothers in the 40s were big, huge on the Opry. Bill Clifton, John Hartford, just a tremendous talent, and Eddie and Martha, all of them, every one of them. But I look at Kenny Baker. Kenny Baker said, these guys that you look at here, what's important to me is these guys set styles. They were stylists. Ronnie Reno's dad, who I'd just give anything if he were here. He carried this whole thing. He really would. He was that good. He set a style for playing an instrument. I mean, and then you look at when you get all of it said and done, J.D. Crowe is sitting here and Doyle Lawson. I mean, these guys are huge in this business right now. But when you get it all set down, if you look at it, the picture as being huge, and it all funnels right down to when there was just one, you look at sitting at Jeanette Carter over there, and that's the daughter of the one. You know, that's the daughter of the beginning of it. I mean, this is just a great concept. Somebody should have done this a long, long time ago before some of the real important guys, Bill Monroe and Lester Flatt and Don Reno, before they left. Ira Louvin. You know, that would have been really neat to have that stuff on tape for those people, too, you know.
I watched you yesterday when Mike Seeger.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't the room mesmerized?
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, your emotions.
Well, you see, he went to my father's house. I knew he went there, but I didn't know about the juice harp. My dad used to worry us to death with the juice harp because I didn't understand it, and I still don't understand the concept of how they make that note change. But my dad wasn't a very good juice harp player, but that really brought back some strong memories. I mean, very, very strong memories, and I hadn't thought of in a long time. He's been gone since '82, and I hadn't thought of that in years. But then I saw Mike Seeger yesterday when I walked in, and boy, it just hit me full in the face. Then when he did the juice harp thing, it was strong,
There
very
was
strong.
something about the way Mike spoke and the way
Oh,
he handled himself.
he's always been that way, though. He's very, very deliberate in what he says. He's well educated. He is articulate in that he can really use the proper word to get his point across, and he's soft-spoken. And when he talks, he's so soft-spoken that you have to listen. Everybody is quiet because you can't hear him if you don't. I don't know if that's a ploy, but it works, whatever it is. But I noticed that too. When he spoke, I mean, everything just went right down to nothing. And he just barely speaks. He's not loud. And he's a very, very, just a gentleman, Mike Seeger is. One of my best friends. And one of the best clawhammer banjo players who ever lived. I mean, he's just very, very good at what he does. Yesterday, it's like Jim McReynolds you'd have never known he was here had he not got drawn into that conversation. And Jim McReynolds is a very, very, very funny man. I don't think he wants to be, but he's a very funny man. And it just really, it really tickled me when they drew him into that conversation yesterday. I mean, he just tore the house up. He really does. But had no one said anything to him directly, he would have sat there and never said a word. I know these people from experience. My brother, he never says anything unless you ask him. But Bobby's actually a very funny man. And then there's some of these people that talk too much, in my opinion. And I'm trying not to be one of them because I'm a talker. I love to talk. I don't like to hear myself talk, but I'm a talker. And I just, you see people that's sitting there, it's like Bales and Clifton. I mean, these people know the history of this music. Eddie Stubbs, they should talk to Eddie more because Eddie knows this music and dates. He knows dates, and he studied this stuff. We have 2 box sets out with Bear Family, and had it not been for Eddie with the liner notes, it would have been just a disaster. It really would.
I don't know how old Eddie is, but
he's 34. Oh, he's incredible. He really is. But you have to talk to him first. You have to draw that out of him. I love it. It's just unreal. I love it. Dale McCoury. Dale McCoury is one that he doesn't say anything unless you ask him. And when you ask him, then he'll talk. He talks fine.
We talked with him yesterday on this.
Very interesting man. He really is. And he knows a part of the history of this thing that Dale told me a thing yesterday that I didn't know happened. I mean, and I knew half of it, but the other half of it happened outside our motorhome. And I didn't know that part happened. And he told me yesterday, he said, I was standing right there when it happened. It was unreal. And I'm learning a whole lot from this group, and it's an honor to sit with this group of people. It really is. It's an honor to be a member of the Grand Ole Opry. I mean, if you get to thinking, of all the country entertainers, bluegrass country entertainers in the world, only, 71 of them can be a member of the Grand Ole Opry. And to know that of all those people, what would you say, there's maybe 1 million of them? Of that 1 million, only 71 can be a member of the Grand Ole Opry, and I'm one of them. You know, it makes you feel good to be a member of this group. Oh, we got 30, 35 people here. I'm a member of that group, and I feel very, very good and fortunate, honored to be a member of that group. We worked hard for that, you know, and I know that. All of them did. But still, I feel honored to be a member of that group.
This guitar was made by Frank Harlow, who lives up in a suburb of Dayton, Ohio, and he's been building them for several years now. I've had this one for the last 7 years, and it's really become the instrument that I've been hunting after ever since I started trying to learn to play. It's one of those guitars that'll do it for you wherever you are. It never leaves you with the feeling of, why did I bring this instrument? Why didn't I bring that good one I got home stashed under the bed or something? It's just it's ready when you are, and it'll do it for you every time. And Mr. Harlow is mighty good about building guitars. He's a very consistent builder, and just about every one of them sounds the same. You don't have to go through 10 to get one good one. This one certainly has served me well, and I'm mighty proud of it. I used to play banjo. I played banjo for about 2 or 3 years, and I loved the sound of the dobro, and I didn't even have anything with a resonator at first. I had an old guitar with the neck was warped up real bad, so I just finished raising up the strings and tuned it in an open key. And since G open is very similar to the banjo, it was easy for me to kind of slip over into playing the dobro. And, of course, I had a lot of influences, like, of course, Deacon Brumfield up in Rising Sun, Maryland is probably the first dobro player that I was really influenced by, and then I got to listening to the dobro instrument, and people like Josh Graves, of course, Brother Oswald over there, been one of my heroes for many years, and Mike Aldridge, Jerry Douglas, several other people that have influenced a desire to play. Most of the influences came from the older players to get me at least interested in playing the instrument.
I've had it for 35 years. It's older than that, I know. It was made in 1927, I think. It's been off of planes and everything else. See, well, I played a 5-string banjo till I lost all my fingers. See, I got arthritis so bad I can't hold my bar or nothing. That's wet. I keep water here all the time. Wet my hand, and then I can do it. I like to play the dobro in Flint, Michigan. That's funny, isn't it?
It is.
Jerry Bird was learning to play at the same time I was, and he took lessons and I didn't. So You see where Jerry went to. I wish I'd have took him now.
You've done well.
We started talking. Yes, he started asking me where I was from. I said, Wise County. He said, where in Wise County? And he was nailing me down, you know. I didn't have any idea he was from Wise County. Our granddad, they lived way back, about a mile back in the mountains from where we lived. And everybody would call it, we call it mountain music, you know, and that's most everybody would have an old fiddle or a guitar. And on Saturday nights, we'd just go to different places to have just a shindig, and most time that they would, in someone's home, you heard the old saying, roll back a rug on the floor and we'll have a dance. I've seen that happen in a lot of places, but we'd walk back at our granddad's house, and most time on Sunday afternoon, and our grandmother, she would always fix a big dinner for. There was about 12 boys and 4 girls, I think, in the family there, and we'd go back there, and after dinner, we'd play all afternoon, and he was a pretty good old time fiddler, you know, and we were talking earlier that. When they did the Bristol sessions there, when Jimmy Rogers, you know, and the Carter family and the Stoneman, they all recorded for RCA, and our granddad, they went over and recorded 2 fiddle tunes, and somehow they said they lost one of them, but he's got one tune in the Bristol sessions that when they RCA put those things together. Well, it's just amazing, you know, just like the Bales brothers, and I mentioned earlier that. They were on Huntington, West Virginia, and back earlier there wasn't that many radio stations, and I think they had a 5,000-watt radio station in Huntington, and we could get that all the way down in Virginia. And they had a morning show, I think, and an evening show, and when I'd get home from school, their program was just coming on, and it didn't take me long. At that time, I don't know, we were just in grade school, and it was about a mile. We had to walk to school, and I did some fast walking when I'd get out of school. I just loved her singing, but you know, of all the people that's here, and just like Pappy Sherrill and Snuffy Jenkins, and one of the early jobs that we had, Hoke Jenkins, I think. Snuffy was Hoke's uncle, and they were all from the same location there in North Carolina, and we worked for Hoke for about a year. And Snuffy and Hoke was a couple of the early people that played that what we call the Scruggs style. Mm-hmm. And I think Earl in his book he gave Snuffy credit for a lot of the style that he plays on the banjo, but. Of course, Earl took it and put it in overdrive, and he was very creative with what he done. But the old hard hands and when we worked with Hoke, we were all in Augusta, Georgia at that time, and Snuffy and Pappy, and they were in Columbia, South Carolina, but 100 miles or so apart, and we would work a lot of shows together. So it's just it's really a thrill to. I was joking earlier when I said something about I thought I might come down here and see a lot of wheelchairs, but it's amazing, you know, all these guys look like they're still in good health, and I don't know, maybe the music is good for you. I see Walter if I'm home. Of course, we still work the road an awful lot, but he has a program on one of the gospel stations here in Nashville, and he sang some, and he's been preaching for years now. And but you hear these stories back. And one time we were auditioning in Huntington for a TV show, and the radio station that they were on, I think it was WSAZ, and they later had got Channel 3 for television. And we were there one time. I went into audition. I'd taken a tape and played it for the program director, and I didn't know that he was that well informed about the old time music. And we started talking about the Bales brothers, and boy, he told me some wild stories about how they used to come in to do the radio shows. And he said sometimes I'd wonder if they were going to make it through. But they were 4 brothers. They were, but the main Walter and Johnny. Was the 2 brothers that stayed together most of the time, but they had one brother's name was Kyle and Homer, and I thought they had all passed away except Walter, but someone just told me earlier that Homer's still living, and but they I don't know, they just had such a unique sound, and even he sounds so much yet. Like when when I used to hear them sing and everything on radio, and they had a lot of records, and they were at the Grand Ole Opry years back. And after they left Huntington, they came here to Nashville, and then they went to the Louisiana Hayride. They went to Shreveport, Louisiana, and I don't remember just how many years they stayed out there, but they were a very successful group back when they were all together. But then later, I think after the group split up, Walter started his ministry and started preaching, and Johnny, I think at that time Webb Pierce and maybe Hank Snow and some of them, they owned a radio station in Swainsboro, Georgia, and Johnny went to Swainsboro, and he stayed there for years, and he managed the radio station for him for several years, and I think he passed away, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. We grew up back in the mountains there in Virginia, and our dad worked in the coal mines, and we didn't have electricity when we were boys. We had the old, what we all call the old coal oil lights, and the old kerosene lights, and but we didn't even have a radio at that time. And our brother, and when our oldest sister got married, they moved down the road from us, and somehow they ended up with an old battery set. They was talking about taking the car battery and putting it on your radio. And on Saturday nights, that was about the first time that we ever had a chance to listen to the Grand Ole Opry. And on Saturday night, when the word got out that they had a radio, you couldn't get in the yard. All the neighbors, and it's just a small community, but people here say his name was Oakley Greer, and he said, have you heard that Oakley's got a radio? And they listened at the Grand Ole Opry, and gosh, that was spread like wildfire. And every Saturday night we would go down, and that was a big thing for us. We'd go down and listen to the Grand Ole Opry. We were living in Alabama, working shows down in Montgomery, and we had gotten into television, and that was you talk about things that happen for your luck that you have, and of course we'd already had been recording for Capitol Records, and Jesse had been to Korea, and he was after he got out of the service, we had reorganized the group, and we got into television, and that it changed everything for us. It just we found out that where that audience was watching television. So and then we started doing TV shows for the Martha White people. They was a big sponsor, still a sponsor of the Grand Ole Opry.
He had a different angle on banjo picking,
Yeah.
that right hand stuff, but it's so good, like his recording of Cumberland Gap.
Oh yeah,
That's one of the hottest things I ever heard.
His hand, well, a lot of that was guitar stuff,
Oh,
he was
sure.
a guitar player, but Trey actually before he was a banjo player.
Yeah.
A lot of that stemmed from playing guitar, electric guitar and all that stuff.
Yeah, he could
all
do
those
that.
licks,
He could do that real well. That was just kind of his approach.
That's right, and he applied that and all those, I call them the plectrum type chords that they use on plectrums and tenor. He
Right.
applied a lot of that, Man, it worked for him, and it made a
Yeah.
different sound.
And it really worked well on the slow stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He played the prettiest
Oh, he's good
backup banjo I ever heard.
No, it was. I always call his playing was kind of a country grass. It bordered on.
It was country.
More of country because their rhythm was Red he's a great rhythm player, but he did a full rhythm lick.
Exactly.
And it worked great.
He's my favorite rhythm guitar player.
He played the best D run of anybody. Everybody's got their own little way of things to do
Yeah.
it. He was that D run man.
He was. He was the one that made that one famous.
He hit that D45, son. It was a bit bellowed on that one.
It did. It really did.
He had a knack for that. He played great rhythm on that stuff.
I really, really enjoyed their band, and when I play guitar on stage, I think, of Red Smiley. I can't play like him, but I kind of take that same approach.
Good,
It's kind of a full rhythm. It's not a typical bluegrass kind of rhythm.
No,
thing.
it isn't. It's kind of a mixed.
It is.
It's a good full stroking rhythm, and it adds a lot to that too. I know I was fortunate to see Reno and them in their heyday, man, like Flat and Scruggs.
You sure did.
Man,
yeah.
what a heck of a show they had.
Oh yeah, entertaining show.
Oh, they would keep you laughing. They would keep you in stitches.
Yeah.
They would dress up as all in that garb they did.
Yeah, chicken hot rod and all that stuff.
Yeah. That's great.
Oh.
That's when I was with Mac.
Yeah.
55.
You got to see all the
Man, and they
good
was
ones
hot.
in their prime.
I wouldn't want to follow them on set, on the show.
Oh, I'm
They
sure.
tore an audience up.
I've always heard that they did.
They do that stuff like, well, they're just such showmen with their playing, and it shone through that, you know. They do, remember that song called Tally Ho?
Oh, yeah.
Man, they burnt that thing on stage.
Country boy rock and roll.
Oh, yeah.
Reno picking that guitar.
I mean, he was a salesman. He could sell it.
He could, and good MC, too.
Oh, he's a pro.
One of the
And,
finest.
you know, I like to hear him do recitations.
Oh,
that one
yeah.
gospel thing they did, man, I mean, it's hard to listen to that.
Someone will love me in
Oh,
heaven. Yeah.
To me, that's underrated. I mean, people, they should listen to that.
They really should. That's a real glimpse of the
That's
past right there. Even when those guys were doing it, it was old-timey.
Right.
You know, but today it's just unheard of.
I know Lester was awful good in recitation.
He was.
Some people are just not good at it. But Lester,
You have to have a sincerity about yourself to.
It's the way you put it over.
When I look around the room, I tell you what, I kind of get chills on me because I'm looking at the ones that actually made all the bluegrass music. And we surely miss Bill Monroe, but we can't have him. But anyhow, to see Bobby Oswald, Jim and Jesse, and the Carter family and the Stoneman family, that's where it all really started from. And we've been knowing them off and on a long, long time. But I never have seen everybody together at one time. And it's a thrill for us to be just even invited. And we just so glad that y'all chose us to be a part of this big shindig we're having today.
Today and yesterday, all doing this filming, I learned a lot that I didn't know, and it's been very interesting to me.
I'm just so happy to have a small part of this program. Enjoyed it so much.
Well, I always enjoyed Mac, especially one song. It's sweet to be remembered, remembered. So I always like that song of Mac.
What's so amazing to me is none of us, we've all been together at one time or another and has seen just about everybody together. But what's so funny, we all know stories and they know stories. And when we started putting this together, it's like putting a puzzle together. It's kind of like if I mention something, somebody else knows something that'll go with that part. So it's just like putting a big puzzle together. And I have never seen anything like it in my life. And this is just amazing to me how far country and plus bluegrass music has come, and all the people that made it all in one room, most all of us in one room at one time. It's the most thrilling thing I believe I've ever done in my life. I remember the Carter family, I come along a little bit later, you know, Pop and all remembers all when it started and all, but I remember before we would go to school, and this was in the 50s, that we would always listen to the best radio station. It was in Mount Mitchell, North Carolina. I don't know what station it was, but every morning before we get on the school bus, we would listen to about 30 minutes of the Carter family. I don't know where it was. I know the town, the mountain was Mount Mitchell, and I remember so much. Our brother and sister had a 49 Ford, and in 1951, we couldn't hear the radio station at 1 o'clock in the daytime in the house. We'd all get around the old Ford and turn it on and hear Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs, and that was coming from Raleigh, North Carolina. And then we'd turn the television on and we would hear Don Reno and Red Smiley doing guest spots on the Arthur Smith show. So we just always, and another friend, the Snuffy Jenkins with the hired hands. They were always about 100 miles from us. So and then we started working with the gospel groups. So all our whole lives has been wrapped around bluegrass and gospel music, and that's why we do what we like. We just still love Bill Monroe and what he started, and just to see James Monroe here, just to hear that Monroe voice one more time is the most thrilling thing. And I told James, I said, I just want to touch the mandolin one more time. And I understand it's in a vault, and he said I could.
I didn't know that Ramona and Grandpa traveled with Walter Bales and the Bales brothers. We sang with Walter and Johnny and all of them many years ago. But apparently, of course, Grandpa and Ramona was with them first, you know, way back. But I didn't know that. I learned that just this week.
Well, it's something I don't know, and I still don't know the fella. Never have seen his picture. But when J.D. Crowe was talking about Esco Hankins, that's a part of my life. I always heard of this guy, but I never had seen him. They said he was a lot like Roy Acuff. So that was thrilling to me to hear the name that I always heard but didn't know who he was.
I've just heard a lot of special things today, and I can't pick one out.
It's very difficult.
It is.
Tell me what's been your best time the last 2 days.
Oh, just to be here and see so many friends that just gives you a thrill.
Kind of like eavesdropping on history, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, Pop is 93, and our mom is 88. They've been married 73 years, and they still travel with us full time, and that means a lot to us.
No wonder I look so bad.
And another thing is to know that Ramona is giving Grandpa Jones his suits of what he wore, and that we'll always be able, and the people after us will always be able to see those clothes. And I'm just so glad that they decided not to bury him in that, because we'd have lost a big part of country music with Grandpa Jones. He was one of my favorite friends. In fact, inside my other banjo, I have one autograph in one, and I have an autograph in another banjo. One is from great Earl Scruggs, and the other one is from Grandpa Jones, and he signed it to the little Roy, the feather of the flock. And I never will forget Grandpa Jones. He was wonderful to me and all the Lewis family.
It really is a reunion. Some of these folks, I felt so close to it, but I haven't seen them in 20 years. And it's just, I'm feeling a little bit sad about this day being over, you know, because I think, well, maybe we won't all get to see each other again. These music people they are my family. All I have is I have children, but I don't have any folks that are much older. So this is my family. In fact, I was so interested in Sonny Osborne, Mike Seeger, learning things from Sonny's dad and all that. Mike Seeger is famous for that. And I'm so glad he was here yesterday. He goes way back, gets the roots of the music, and I did learn some things from Mike Seeger. But I learn things every time I meet Mike Seeger. He's just full of old history. I had gone to WLW Cincinnati to be on the Boone County Jamboree with another group of entertainers, Sunshine Sue and all of her group. And the Grandpa had already moved there from Wheeling, West Virginia. And the first time I ever saw Grandpa was they had moved their studio out to the old Crosley building because they were repairing the studio, WLW. So it was out in an old white block building. It belonged to Crosley Corporation. And he was doing early morning shows, and they put us on the early morning show. And that's the first time I met him. But there's a story that comes before that. When I was working in Richmond, Virginia, I had never heard of Grandpa Jones. I had no idea. I'd never heard that name. And I was in the car with Joe Mavis, a guitar player, and another girl, Jane Allen. We were going to Philadelphia to get some costumes from Ben the Rodeo Tailor. Was a famous, he's like Nudie up in the West. He's famous in the East. We were going to get some costumes, and Joe Mavis said, there's a guy over in Wheeling, said, you all like harmony, there's a guy over in Wheeling that I wish that you could hear him. And he's going to be on tonight on their Wheeling Jamboree. And he said, when he comes on, we'll stop and listen to him. So he stopped the car, said, I want you girls to hear this guy and his trio. And it was Grandpa Jones and his grandchildren, he called them then. That's what he called his group then. He was coming on the Wheeling station. We were driving north from Richmond to Philadelphia, and it was Grandpa Jones, and I remember the song they sang. They sang, I'm tying the leaves so they won't come down, so Nellie won't go away. And I heard it many times later, but that's the first time I ever heard Grandpa's name mentioned. That goes way back.
The word's just on the Bible's image, is it?
Yeah, and there it is on sheet music, and then it's in here too.
Oh, Lord, that's great.
And here's one my wife wrote that Ralph Stanley recorded. You probably heard that, Traveling the Highway Home.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
So we'd be glad for you to use it.
I'll cherish that. Yes, buddy. I'll cherish that. I'll cherish that as long as I live.
I guess you know we're on Candid Camry, don't you?
Well, us old folks need all the work we can get.
That's right. I'll tell you one thing, these guys have been great.
It's been a great thing, you know, and I think this is the greatest thing that ever happened to Bluegrass, and we want to thank Mr. Black and Mac Wiseman and all the staff here, all the people who've done the video work. They've done an outstanding job. I've been into it for 48 years, not as long as you have, but there's nobody can complain about this. I think everybody got their money's worth.
Right, absolutely.
And I'm sure when people see this, they'll say this is the greatest thing that ever happened to bluegrass music in all the century long it's been in the business.
Me and Jimmy Dickens both celebrated our 60th year last year.
That's great. You know, the good Lord, that's a lot to be thankful for.
Yeah. You know, we started out together.
Is that right?
Jimmy and Molly O'Day. She was called another name then, Dixie Lee.
Yeah, I
Red
remember.
Savine. All of us started out together, Bales brothers.
Well, it's good to see fellas like you fellas around and still going and can still the great stories and sing the great songs that made you a great name and
love it.
And made music what it is today.
I love it.
Without that, we wouldn't be here.
And I'm going to tell you another thing. The Goins brothers are great.
Well, we appreciate y'all so much.
And I'll tell you something else. You've done a good solo.
Thank you, sir.
You
Thank
sure did.
Thank you.
We live in two different worlds, dear. That's why we're so far apart. You built a world out of vows that were broken. I built a world in my heart